Earlier this week, we talked about the attachment patterns that keep you from becoming yourself again. We named how attachment doesn't just show up in relationships, it shows in your body, your reaction, your timing, your fear of being too much or not enough. And for a lot of people, that awareness brings up another question. Okay, if this is my attachment pattern, how do I actually change it? Which is such a good question because attachment patterns don't live in your head, they live in our relationships. And they don't shift through insight alone. So today, we're not talking about becoming secure or overcorrecting or forcing yourself to act differently. We're talking about how attachment actually changes through small relational choices made inside real moments. If you've ever learned about attachment and immediately thought, cool, now I'm hyper aware and still reactive, welcome, you're doing it right. Most people think once they understand their attachment style, they should suddenly respond perfectly. But attachment doesn't work like a light switch. It works like muscle memory. Your system learned these patterns over time in relationships for protection. So of course, it doesn't unlearn them overnight. From an MFT lens, attachment isn't a personality trait, and I've said that so many times before. It's a relational pattern. It's what happens between people, especially when there's closeness, uncertainty, or perceived threat. That's why you can feel totally grounded on your own and completely dysregulated in connection. Your attachment system isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it learned to do. This is where people get discouraged. They think, I know why I do this, so why am I still doing it? Because attachment doesn't change through understanding. It changes through experience, specifically corrective experiences that feel just different enough to register as safe. When your attachment systems activate, you don't need a perfect response. You need a pause, a name, and a choice. Pausing interrupts the automatic reaction. Naming what happens, even quietly, reduces the nervous system reactivity, and choosing your response instead of reacting on impulse creates a new relational experience. Simply labeling an emotion lowers reactivity in the brain and increases your ability to respond intentionally, which is exactly what attachment repair requires. So we're not trying to become secure overnight. We're practicing small moments where your system learns, I can feel this and still have a choice. That's the foundation of attachment change. So the tool, it's called pause, label, respond. Here's how we're gonna practice this. When you feel the attachment activation, tight chest, stomach dropping, racing thoughts, the urge to text, or the urge to shut down, do one small pause. If you can't pause for a full breath, just pause for a beat. Even a 2-second delay is an interruption. Step 2 is label. Then name what's happening simply. You can do this out loud or in your head. I'm feeling anxious or rejected. My body is bracing. I'm flooded. I want to chase. I want to disappear. Don't try to create a story or come up with a justification, just a label, because labeling is how you come back into the present moment. And number 3, now choose one small response that's different from your default. Not better, just different. You might choose to wait 10 minutes before responding, to ask one clear question instead of over-explaining, to say, I'm getting worked up or activated, can we pause? To stay in the room for 30 more seconds, or to send one honest sentence instead of 5 anxious paragraphs. The point is, you're teaching your nervous system you have options. Okay, to give you some examples, let's think about the text spiral. So they take longer to respond than usual, and your mind goes, are they upset? Did I do something? Are they pulling away? Your usual move might be double texting, over explaining, pretending you don't care while you absolutely do care. So you practice. You pause, you put the phone down, you label, I'm feeling anxious and I want reassurance, and then you respond. I'm gonna wait 10 minutes and then decide what I actually wanna say. Even if you still feel anxious, you didn't obey it, and that's change. To give you another example, we'll call this the shutdown. So your partner says something with a tone and instantly your body goes cold. Your default might be short answers or withdrawal or leaving the room or I'm fine. So you practice. Pause. Don't speak for 2 seconds. Label. I'm bracing. I want to shut down. That's what's going on here. And this is internal or external. And then you respond. I need a minute to stay present. Can you say that again? That's not you being dramatic, that's you staying connected. And last example, the over-explaining. So you share something vulnerable and you don't get the response you wanted. So you start adding context, disclaimers, qualifications. You give a whole TED talk. So you practice, you pause, you stop mid-sentence, you label, I feel exposed. And then you respond, I'm gonna say this in one sentence. I need reassurance right there. And that's a different nervous system experience. To have the power and the control to not question yourself and just say it. Say what you're feeling and say what you need. It's empowering. So, why does this work? Attachment patterns are loops. One person gets activated, they pursue or withdraw, the other person reacts, and the cycle reinforces itself. But systems are maintained by predictability. So when you pause, label, and respond differently, even slightly, you interrupt the pattern's script. You change your timing and your tone and your presence. And when one person changes their step, the whole dance has to adjust. That's why this tool works, even if the other person isn't doing it perfectly, because you are no longer feeding into the same cycle the same way. You are creating a new experience. I can feel activated and still stay connected to myself and to you. That's the beginning of a secure attachment in real life. I want to say you're not behind because your attachment still shows up. You're not failing because it's uncomfortable, and you're not doing it wrong. The discomfort is often the sign that you didn't default, and that's where change begins. And like I've said in all of these videos this month, this tool is not about forcing calm. None of the tools are about forcing calm or ignoring your needs or tolerating unsafe relationships. It's about practicing agency inside connection. That's how attachment heals. Attachment patterns don't change all at once. They change in moments when you stay, when you pause, or respond just a little differently than you used to. You don't need to become secure overnight. You just need a few experiences that tell your nervous system something else is possible. That's enough to start. One moment, one small choice. That's the work. Until next time.